I still have to go there. See ya. Stay out of trouble. You can't. You can definitely tell the difference. That thing looked like it was raped. Backswing's wavering a little bit. Mm. So does it? How does it feel? Looks a little abnormal. Just a touch. That swing is like in the back. It's like doing this, which it's not used to doing. Oops. I'll show you. Hold up. See how it goes back and then kind of pops? I'm not used to that. Not from you. That's why you bounce off a little bit. Watch, it goes there. Now slowly go through. Goes back and then it, see how it jumps to the right just a touch? It jumps right, then you have to pull it, you have to really kind of corral it back in. So there's an extra loop in there. So instead of your swing being one piece, it's actually cut into like two different sections. Where usually your ball will come straight back and then straight forward. It didn't have that little bit of this. I mean, you're good enough for it where it, you know, you can make it work, but there's going to be an inefficiency where you're going to have tendency like on a long string, you'll like she'll throw like two, three in a row, and then one will be like 4 pin high, or you'll throw a 10 pin or something like that. Where if you're straight back, straight forward, you're gonna like kick out the 10, or maybe kick out a 4 pin or something. So your thumb's been bothering you? Yeah, you're probably not. Yeah, and so what happens is when it moves around, a lot of times you'll have to grip onto it to really kind of put it back into your swing slot. So just kind of let it just kind of swing. Make sure you're not squeezing it, and just let it come straight back and straight forward. Oh wow. Like most people see, you throwing a bunch of strikes, but I've seen so many hours of video where I can see like the front part of your approach is slightly muscled. See how it's like very slow and deliberate? Just in the front, I'm probably the only one who ever really noticed. But as you get here, you can see it.
I'm sitting here constantly trying to find a comfortable spot for my
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so if it gets here, your body's used to a certain pace, and so it's will actually speed up or slow down to match what it's used to feeling. So you're kind of pulling it back a little bit, and that's why it's going. So just kind of get a little bit more push, and I think that you have less spine tilt than you normally do. And I think that's why you're starting to feel the rub on the side, because that's where, like, I've been doing a lot of one steps and stuff, and so I started feeling it.
right in here.
Yeah, and right in here, where I started throwing it bad, I started really kind of muscling it, and I starting to get I started to get the same problems I had.
I got that little hole in my thumb. It's like it's
Yeah,
ripping it a little bit.
yeah, and that right there is for a little bit from kind of.
I had to do that because when I got here today, I
Hmm.
couldn't fit my thumb in any of my thumbs. Like
Right,
it wouldn't go in.
right,
So I was sitting here trying to figure out which one I was going to use, taking tape out, trying to put tape back in. Nothing felt comfortable.
right,
So I had to do an extra loose.
right.
because when I was clinching it,
And that's why your thumb hurts.
and it's just absolutely freaking killing me. Yesterday I didn't have that problem at all,
Right.
and I don't know why.
Sometimes
I
you
even
just
got a new thumb drilled. I got a smaller thumb so I can make it even tighter.
right.
And
Man, that thing's beveled like a big dog, isn't it?
huh?
Let me see the bevel on that.
That's on the backside, so that doesn't even
Yeah.
matter.
No, I'm just not used to seeing so much bevel from you.
I have to, or I can't get out of it. That's the problem. All of them are like that. All
Yeah.
my ones are like that.
No, that one's a little bit sharper. This one, see how that one's kind of like that? This one's a little bit sharper in the front. Is this the front?
No, that's the back.
No, I'm talking about here.
This is yeah.
Yeah. Where this one's even in right here, it's sharp, but not as sharp as this. This is
Oh, you
pretty.
mean flat in the front?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got a little bit of
Yeah, it's a
flatness
little
on
bit
top.
sharp. Yeah. So it's a little bit sharper where these are more beveled. Or even this part, the front there, it's that's beveled where this is a little bit straighter down. The problem with that is when if it's beveled too much,
Mhm.
it actually changes your span.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. But the only reason I've done that is because I can't. It literally it just. I'll do this, and the ball does not come off of my hand.
Right. And that's really because your hand is in a weird position. Like it has to be this. And if you start controlling your swing, you have no choice but to really kind of grip it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong because I do remember throwing it, and it was really tight, and it never affected me.
Right.
And then all of a sudden,
Well,
not
yeah,
just today, but it slowly got to the point where
it happens. Well, when's the last time you practiced?
yeah,
Yeah. You don't get a chance to practice it.
not very much.
Well,
So many kids are
not
showing.
this time of year. I mean, well, plus this time of year, you don't really get a chance to.
No, I mean I can
So,
on Thursdays, but by the time I get done, it's 9:30, and there's still
yeah,
more
and
people
plus,
ready to go.
well, even if you just came and practiced, you know, but you don't get a chance to even do that.
Like I can't even get my thumb out of this right now. Like I can't pull it out.
Yeah. Just practice, just kind of a little bit slower, but still let the ball drop. Make sure your thumb is completely relaxed. There you go. That got out quick. That got out real
I
quick.
feel like I broke my wrist. I made sure it didn't come out.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I didn't keep it tucked. I feel like I just kind of.
I must have. This one must have lost focus. Okay.
Did it freeze?
Oh, I think we lost one of the cameras. That's the only time that really happens. No, it's there. Let's see this.
Drag thing. Uh, how do you have that?
What's that?
The the shadow mouse.
Oh, it's because I'm freaking blind. Oh, you know what it is? No? What's going on?
The shadow. Oh man, that would make me dizzy as hell.
That is weird. I know I didn't run out of 95 gig left. Uh,
Trying to do an update.
no, this one doesn't do it. Auto plays on.
What'd you do? You hit the wrong button, didn't you?
Yeah, it slid off. It slid off F5 and went to F4. And then what that F4 does, it puts an extra line in there that just useless.
So you put quite a few of
Fucking idiot. Ugh. You know what? Seriously? You see this? Anthony, right here? You see that? We turn it up? Such an asshole. He's not my family. He's not my family. We're just yeah. Dick. Yeah. Now, that's on F5. Okay. Now, whoops. Shouldn't have done it that fast.
You're a little rusty.
The hell?
Hitting the wrong fucking button again?
No, I'm hitting the right button. I got it right there. See? Mm.
Got it rolling already?
Okay, now it's rolling. I'm ready. Mm. Thank. Wait a minute. So, auto psych, auto record, record preview. In the flying fuck is going on? Three, four, five. Okay. Got off faster. I got off a little bit faster.
And it, you can see it's keeping the pan straighter instead of
Yeah.
that.
Mm. So get yourself a little bit more like this, and then make sure that you push and let it drop. Where instead of you don't want to be doing this, it's got to be. Just keep your shoulders loose because you want to allow your shoulders to get the natural. Mm,
I didn't like that.
I didn't like it at all.
Huh?
I didn't like it at all. That shoulder's just not opening up enough. Mm-mm. I mean, it's literally like instead of really kind of. I mean, it. You can see it right there. It's Very controlled and within the second step. It's weird. I haven't seen that in a while. See how it's very controlled? Yeah. It really hasn't been like that in months. I think it's just a matter of just kind of relaxing and just kind of letting it happen. Well, you do that and eventually it's going to fall back to where it was. But it's that you've got to let it swing. You've kind of conditioned yourself not to. It happens. I mean, that's why pros are always working on their game because something sneaks in, you know. Get a little push forward. As that second step goes, you got to push it. Yeah. Add a little bit more momentum. I wonder. Kind of looks like the shoulders collapsing early, doesn't it? So instead of when you usually you get to the top, it's in a pretty good position. The ball should start coming down, but it looks like the reason why it's kind of fading to the right is that shoulder is starting to collapse a little bit. See how it's swinging to the right? It's doing this. It's kind of doing that very slightly. Right. So the ball's up here. It's in a decent position. If it comes straight down from there, but then you'll see the shoulders start to close just a touch. That brings it that little bit. So the momentum starts to go this way. You have no choice but to close your shoulders because that very slight. So it's like where Allen, he was getting here, and then it would go back here, where he had to make it so he would use this, and so it'd come out like this. So instead of from here to here, it was from here to here. It's almost like that in reverse, where you're getting here, and then instead of really kind of doing this, it's kind of that ever so slightly. So you gotta, keep your head on this side and just let it come straight through. Does it seem like today you weren't getting as much snap on the back end that you've been getting the last couple months? To me, it looks like it. Actually, that wasn't so bad. I mean, it did a little bit, but it's not. It just kind of wavered just a little bit, and it's coming down. See, right there. If you can wait for it just a touch more, let it come down a little bit more, instead of getting it off you off there, you can probably get it if you started it coming down a little bit earlier. So instead of really kind of like this,
Mm-hmm.
if you can just kind of do that, that might actually get you in a better position. Because the last few months, your ball is really, really, really snapping really hard. Or this one right here, even though it's probably the ball, I don't see it as much off your hand that I'm used to seeing. I'm used to seeing you hitting a lot harder than
No, I
this.
agree. I agree 100%.
See, just like everything collapses right there at the end because you're having to help it. But this was better than the other ones though, to me.
I have a feeling it all has to do with
Your
the fact.
thumb?
Yeah. Honestly, whether it is or isn't, it's mentally. I'm stuck on my thumb doesn't feel right.
I actually think it's getting better. Keep going. See how it's just a little bit less, not much less, but it's a little bit less. Where this right there is a good position if the ball comes straight back down. But then that shoulder kind of go like that. Yeah, yeah,
Which is throwing off where
yeah,
his arm at.
yeah. Yeah, swing path is in a different direction. Yeah. Well, that's why he's good. Because of that, he's gonna tug it every once in a while.
My thumb should slide right off.
That's really not the important part. The height of the backswing is wherever it ends up, position of the shoulders and everything. But he's got more spine tilt there at the beginning. See how it's more, or he's a little bit straighter up over now. Now it's yeah, that's better there. because of the camera angle. But you can see how it's dropping more. Looks like he's always had that fade, but like Allen's, it puts it in a good position where it goes behind him, but then it settles. So it goes here and then kind of settles. But because he's not here, he was here, it would actually go in the right place. But because he's more like that, it's going to go too far that way.
You looking at me when I was good?
I think your hand almost always used to do that.
Do what?
But you were used to get here, and because your head was here, it would actually pop behind your head. Where now you're a little bit more like this, so now it's going outside of your head a little bit.
Retrain my brain to not grab the ball.
Huh?
I gotta retrain my hand to not grab it.
Yeah, I had to do that. Holy shit, that thing's tight. Yeah, I think you just have to retrain yourself, but it's really about you have to make sure that you're not here, you're actually here, where you can actually,
I need to be leaning over the ball.
yeah. Instead of here, you're gonna be,
I'm always standing like this.
no, not always.
It was in front of me at the beginning.
Let's to the side a little bit.
Oh hell, I wasn't even bowling good then. That was when I was wearing my wrist brace.
Yeah,
I was bowling terrible back then.
not terrible, just weren't as good as you were.
Go back to like 3 months ago when I was doing really good.
I guarantee that you weren't always like this. You know, it's always you split really because if you think about it, if I'm here, my swing slot area is not very good. If I'm here, I can actually, you know, I would just get yourself in a better position and just get used to just kind of letting it drop. The only difference is that you're not leaning over the ball, but you're still in the same position where actually would be better for you to be here. But you did this because you're so used to really kind of going like that. It works. No, neither one is either. Yeah, you just got to make sure your head is outside this head. I got off pretty quick. Now the lanes are a little bit tighter because of the fact that they do those lanes first and then they do these afterwards. So today was a drag, and drag was pretty tight down lane until they got some lane, some frames on it. Then it hooks a little bit. Actually, that's more. It looks more natural there.
No, that one actually looks pretty good. Hit it to
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
It was more
yeah. It was
this.
still. Oh yeah, that's off your hand the way I want. Huh?
I'm not even aiming for anything. I'm just trying to get it off my hand.
No, I know. But you can see that's a better position there from that standpoint. So now that's in a better position because your head is still outside the ball. So at least, and it's always had a little slight downward angle. So that's more in that athletic position. And then now you just got to get used to getting the ball off your hand a little quicker. But that, yeah, that's so what happens is if you throw enough balls where you're not in a good position, your body adjusts itself. So that's all that's happened. This you just have to do this, and you'll be back where you were. And today, if you actually threw like the other ball you normally use,
I'm actually not. I use this one. I've
not
had to use this one for the past few weeks now.
yeah, but not on this pair,
On what?
not on this pair.
Pattern?
Use this pair.
Oh no, I haven't been on camera in
Yeah.
weeks.
Usually on this pair, it's always played a little bit tighter. So you can use your bigger pieces, which is good.
Actually, I can't because it doesn't. It's dead. Like even on a house shot, it doesn't move.
Yeah, but it's going to read a little bit quicker than that. It will.
Try it. It just hasn't been. It hasn't been working at all lately.
Well, I'm not surprised if you've been throwing it like you've been. This was probably sneaking its way in there because we haven't had a chance to really.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yeah. These things have a way of just kind of just sneaking its way in there. Huh? Balls what?
Ball seems fine.
Yeah. That one. Yeah, it's starting to look normal. But like I said, so if you go 3-2 right, you're going to start seeing the shape of that ball that you're normally used to seeing. Because right now you're throwing the ball off your hand, so you've got to move right to get it to really kind of do what it normally does. Because of the way the pattern sits on here. Like I wish they would actually do these first and then do the sport pair, because by the time they get the house shot on here, you got to run the machine 2 or 3 times before the house shots is, you know. But if they do these first, then you have a combination of both the house shot and the sport shot. It's like a hybrid. So sometimes, so if it's tighter here, it's going to be a lot tighter here. If it's short pattern, then you're going to see a lot more hook. Yeah, it's a little bit tighter. It's like 45 feet, I think it is. Uh, well, normally his dad will do the house pattern first. So lately it's been kind of normal. Huh?
But I can't get it off my thumb to save my life.
You just got to reteach yourself to loosen that thumb up. It actually is not as bad as you think it is. But like I said, you're throwing it off your hand.
It feels fucking terrible.
Well, it's going to because you're used to the way you've been throwing it. See where it's more, it's
I'm not
more.
feeling a damn thing when it comes off my hand. But now,
Yeah, I know.
I swear to Jesus Lord, I can't do anything to make it.
See how it's. So his head is actually, you can see his head on this side, and especially since the camera's here. So now his head is in a more of athletic position, so it can actually get. Right now, it's not going to feel good at all because you've been throwing it different. So that's why you need to use the video to determine. Those last two were actually not bad. That one kind of faded a little bit, but as far as like this way, but it was a little bit less on this shot here. You just have to get used to just waiting for it, and it'll be right back where it was because you can see it starting to slowly get back, but it's not going to feel good. It's going to feel terrible because you've now gotten used to the way you're throwing.
You're on the right path.
Yeah, like during league today, and you probably scored decent in league yesterday, but my guess is this has been sneaking its way in for a couple weeks.
I'm terrible for a long time. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm still shooting in the mid sixes and up.
doesn't mean you're throwing it very well.
No,
Yeah,
I know I'm not.
yeah.
Somehow I'm still.
It's because you're not that far off. So house shots allow you to really kind of get away with things. So you've probably been throwing it off your hand for a little bit, but it was still good enough roll to really kind of carry. I mean, I've shot 750 and felt a little bit off, and then I shoot like 630 and feel great. But the 630s that feel great eventually become like 770 feeling good. So, because it's just a matter of getting used to that again. You're just not used to it yet. You just have to get that feeling out of your head where, you know, it's not going to feel good right away. But as you get some practice, and it'll start to feel like it's
I'm
supposed
not
to.
saying about like feeling awkward. I'm saying this shit hurts. Like pain off my thumb. It hurts.
I know, but nothing's changed as far as physical bowling ball or,
Oh no.
yeah. So your hand is in a different position because you started to muscle the ball a little bit. And this, believe it or not, this is better than it was. Because now you start seeing more of this, or the other one was literally like, it was like that. There's a big difference right there. It just doesn't feel good yet. But it starts rubbing, you're probably squeezing a little bit more, and you're doing more of this, and really instead of really kind of
I mean, it's rubbing going into the ball.
yeah.
Like it's rub. I mean, you can see where you can see a little insert rubs on the sides going into the ball.
Yeah. But the bowling ball hasn't changed, right?
Now, only the insert has.
No.
It's a new hit. That's
But
the
even
only
when you try the other ones,
it's rubbing on
still
the
the
ball.
same thing,
I
right?
don't know if it's starting to swell or not
Yeah.
with the heat.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. The thing of it is, though, if your thumb was loose and relaxed, it would just fly off because all those are feeling the same way, right?
Well, not all of them, no.
But
That
you
one over
still,
there, it's
but
really
they're still rubbing though. I mean, you're still feeling it, right?
not on that one. Just
So why aren't you using that one?
because it's too loose. Like I have to
Okay.
grab that one.
Right.
That's why I'm not using it.
Right.
I have to grab it.
But my point is that you're probably not throwing it like you used to. Otherwise, you.
And I'm not saying that you're wrong at
Yeah.
all. I definitely agree that I'm not throwing it
Mm,
like I used to.
right.
Badly, you have to pull your fingers out, get your thumb out. I had the second rub on it.
You need to just get back to practicing
Yeah. Gonna stay after on Thursday for a little bit.
because it's close. It's definitely better than it was. Releasing it really late though. Thumb's almost at the bottom of the swing before it gets out. It's what they call thumbing it a little bit. Yeah.
Somebody stole my fucking sanding pad.
All of them?
Nah, just the two that I had out. And I know who it was.
Who?
Fucking
Huh?
Aaron. Because he had his down. I had mine down on the chair and his was up here. And I guess Alan was trying to tell me. I thought he was talking about an iPad. I was like, no, I didn't have an iPad. Because he saw him take it. I was like, ah, you son of a bitch.
Mm.
It was my 1,500 trip. That'd have been a good ball when I come around.
Yep.